Welcome everybody. This is Mark Stepp from Realvolve. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer and the host of today's webinar. On the line I have with me Cole Kaler. He is our onboarding rep. Everybody wave, say hi. Want to thank Cole for joining us. I hope he enjoys some challenges and stuff, so we brought him on to really answer the types of questions that people get whenever they first come on. And that's really what this particular webinar is about. This is the Fireside Chat. We're going to do this basically once a month, I believe is the plan. And this really is guided instruction on questions that you guys have. So if you have any particular question, on the right-hand side of your screen typically is the GoToWebinar control panel. Inside that control panel, there is an area for questions. If you will, just for grins for me, type in something, say hello to us or whatever, make sure that you get the instructions there, let us know that you're around, we would appreciate it. So the format of this particular webinar is you ask the questions, we turn around and answer them. Cole's going to read the question, I'll answer them best to my ability, and I should be able to do that fairly well for you guys. But basically, no question is off limits. If you guys have any kind of getting started type question or just not understanding anything in particular, be sure to ask it. And if it's something you think is really outside the scope of what you can type, you just really need more, maybe a more verbose description, and you want me to unmute you, I can certainly do that. Just let me know and we can go through that process. But so we also, the way we do this is we go until there's no more questions. I don't want to waste anybody's time, but if there are no questions, we will end it pretty quickly. So if you've got questions, don't hesitate to put them up. So start typing them in, and we'll kind of go from there. And let's see. Hey Ron, how you doing? Saw Ronald Gorman on there. You've been pretty good about coming on to these. Appreciate you attending. Any questions? Ron, do you have anything? Cole, did you have any questions that have come up through some of your training and stuff that you wanted to cover?
I don't have anything off the top of my head, but I'm gonna look at my notes while we get started here and see if I can't see something that would be good for us to go over.
One of the things that I probably should cover, we did have some questions about some of the latest pieces on filtering. One of the things that we've done recently, if you go into the contacts area over here on the left-hand side, it'll show you all the names of people. The filters area on all of our documentation now is basically different. We've gone from having the buttons on there. We covered this in an update piece, but we've had a few questions about that, so I did think I would spend just a little bit of time doing this while we wait for questions coming up. So instead of having the 8 buttons that we did, we now have a little drop down for the filtering piece, and you can click on this. You can choose that you want to see all your contacts just by choosing all contacts, or if you want to create a new filter, you can choose create a filter. If we create the filter, it will come up with the associated items in our filter list, and the list of items will continue to grow. We're going to be adding a few more items to this list, and even some more in-depth items to each one of these. So, for instance, the date area we've got now, we broke it out so that it's a little bit easier to see that you've got multiple date fields that you can select. If you come in here and I want to say, well, I want to see everybody that I last called, on a certain date, I can do that, or if they were in a particular date range for when did I last sell them a house, or when did they last purchase a house, I can do that. There's a couple of these dates birthday, the 2 anniversaries for home purchase and home sale, and then the relationship anniversary. You will see over here on the left-hand side that there's an option to choose it with year or without year. And this is important for those types of dates where you want to say, well, I want to get everybody that has a birthday in January. Well, you can choose birthday, you can choose the date range for January, and you can say without year, and it will not worry about the year at all. It just worries about the month, day range that you specify. If for whatever reason you wanted to say, well, I want to get everybody that purchased in February of this year, you have that ability just by clicking on with year and then choosing that same month that you want to query through. So if I wanted to say everything that was in February in that list at all, then it would come up. I don't have any in there, so it's coming up with 0. Anytime that you do work with your filters, you will see that it automatically calculates the number of records that are represented by that query. So if I'm putting in a date range and I click next on here, it automatically queries them, and then I can go in and I can see them. In this case, I don't have anybody, but it definitely gives me that ability to go through and just quickly select that and choose the appropriate date ranges or whatever. What I might do is go in there and say, well, I want to find everybody that is an A, a B, or a C, in addition to my my other date ranges or whatever. So you can compound those queries together, so it'll narrow down your search. One thing I want to do here is I just want to on my birthday here, excuse me, home purchase. I just want to clear that one. Don't want that at all. Hit next. So now at this point, all I'm doing, if you'll look up here under the category, it gives me a little summary of what I've selected, A or B or C, so I know what I've selected, and it's given me the 57, so I can click on that. And now I can, without saving this query, I can quickly see who's in this list and do stuff. If you want to continue to do more stuff with it, like you want to dig in and start going through each one of these people, I do recommend that you at least give it a name, your filter a name, so that it'll save that filter, because as soon as you go into another contact over here, it'll clear out your filter area. So I might go in here and say A, B, and C's, and then click on Apply. At that point, it goes ahead and gives me that list on the left-hand side, as well as remaining on the right-hand side of anybody that's in my A, B, or C's. And if I want to go in there and change that for any reason, I can click on the little I to see what the category is of the filters that I've gotten in there, and then I can go in there and click on the little pencil to edit them, or if I just want to close this little preview window, I can click on the little close. It will close automatically if you start changing the sort by, just because we want to have room and don't want to be messing with it and stuff. It's really just there if you hit the little I button. If you want to, once you get to that point where you've dealt with that list and you just want to go back to all your contacts, just choose all contacts again, or you can choose another filter if needed. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There's a lot of filters that are available. The tagging's been there, the category's been there. Actually, these first 8 or so have been. We did change it so that you've got relationship score, so you can do some scoring searches. You can do both your stage, which is the aware, know, like, and trust, and also the status, whether you're a suspect, prospect, lead, client, or past client. Now, one of the things that's, now that we've spent a lot of time doing our upgrading on speed, which there are a few more things still left to do, but there's some additional enhancements that's going to be coming along with Realvolve in correlation to stage and status, and you're going to be using that more often. I can pretty much guarantee it. So get used to putting those stages and statuses in there, and we've got some instructional. There'll be a webinar that I'm going to be doing next month talking about how all the automation of that works together. So look forward to having you guys on there. Any questions?
I got one, Mark, from Emily Miller. She asked, is there a way to pull a weekly report for who you've called and when? If we call through the app, does that add to the list, or do we have to manually add a note afterwards and the report pulls from the manual entry?
That's a great question. Okay, so to answer that question, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up this, let me pull up my phone here, and bring this down over here. So just to answer that question, this is a little preview so that you guys can see it. It's really connected to my phone, so I'm going to move through my phone, but you'll see it on my screen. So whenever you're dealing with contacts in the database on your mobile app, if I go in here and I do a search, and I've got multiples of me in here for a reason, but say I pull up a phone number here and I do a dial. Whenever I call this number, I do have the ability to click on call, and it will start to call that number. Now that's my number, so it's just going to turn around and put me immediately on into a message. I'm just going to click on hang up. Once you've talked to that person, you've made your conversation through that period of time, at the top of this window, you'll see this little call successful. If that is green, in this case, if I turn it off so that it's not green, it won't do it. But if you leave it as green, it will go ahead and update your last call date in the application for this contact. So by leaving it that way, I'm good. I can immediately come in here and I can put in some notes. Just called Mark about listing his property. Call back on Thursday. He'll be listing at $250,000. Okay. Nope. Click on done. So I was able to use the phone's microphone to put in note information. You don't have to type it in, but you can type it, whatever. If I wanted to add another activity on here, I can click on the action and type in a little activity, call, and come down here on what day. Say I want to do it on, due date is on August. We're going to go August 3rd. I forget what day I said in my notes. And then once that is added, it'll be in your calendar. You can also, if you want to, you can do this instead of or in addition to. You can also start a workflow. So you can choose which workflow you might want to start as well. So you can come through here, pick a 90-day touch point workflow, and then click on save. So at this point, if I go into Mark's step over here, and again, I've got multiples of these. Let's go to one of these that, okay, no. Here we go. Okay, so it immediately, within the application, you'll see that here's the note that I just put in. I was logged in as Joe Agent, so it has Joe Agent in there. And if I go over to the contact area and scroll up here, last call date has today's date on it. So both of those are done immediately. Now, once you've got that in place and you want to do your filtering, it's just a matter of going in and saying, well, I want to do a filter. Say, for instance, I want to create a new filter, and I want to find everybody by date. Well, two different things. One, you wouldn't necessarily have to do a filter here if you didn't want to. One of the things that I teach is you can make a call list. Typically, you know who you need to call by either some categories or some kind of filters and stuff that you may want to do. What you can do is say, well, I want all my contacts, or I can do a filter, but what I want to do is come down here and sort them by my last call date. Now, I can do that last call date either ascending or descending. I'm going to choose descending for right now, just to show you that I should be at the top of the list. There's Mark's step. July 27th. So I now know that I called him last, and I can either scroll to the bottom to see who I've not called, or it's just a matter of coming in here and saying, I want to do my list ascending, so anybody that I've not called is at the top of the list, and just start going down that list of people that you've called or need to call. And then as you call them, do it on your phone, and it will automatically update that date for you. So that's just an easy way of pulling up those lists of people that you need to call them, and go through that process. That makes sense, Cole? Awesome. That ascending and descending order is a cool piece, especially whenever you have automation. And you can do the same type of things for birthdays. So if you want to see everybody that's within a birthday range, you can see everybody's. Anytime you're dealing with a sort by, that last column in Realvolve is always that column that you pick. So you can go in there, and if you wanted to just reorder them here, you can certainly do that and just change the order of the list by the column as well.
Mark, would you like to give an example of the new wildcard search features?
Absolutely. That is a cool one too. So one of the things that we've recently added is the search capabilities within Realvolve have been significantly improved, not only in speed but also functionality. So in the past, whenever you were to type in something, the system goes through and it will search for whatever you would type in. Say, for instance, I was looking for the word sun. Okay, and I'm just going to press enter on that. Previous to the update, it would find anybody that has those three letters anywhere in the database. And I don't have anybody in my database right now that has the first name or last name that begins with sun, but that's what we've done. We've changed the searching capability, so now it begins with. So if I come in here and I say I want to find anything that begins with Mark, it's now going to find it somewhere in there as far as a full name begins with the letters that I'm searching. If I want to maybe expand on that search for some reason, man, was it Mark, was it Mick, I forget the guy's name, I can now go in there and either put in an asterisk, which means anything that starts with an M, contains any number of letters, and then ends with a K in it, bring it up. If it has, which same number of lists here, I can also do the number of characters that I want to limit it to using question marks. So I could say M-A-R, as far as the two letters A and R could be in there, I-C for Mick, any kind of letter that you want can go in there as long as there's two letters and then either begins with an M or ends with a K. So there's lots of possibilities there. Now, just because this training database doesn't have a whole lot of options on there, but I do know one of the challenges with some people's names is that their spelling is just a little bit off. Like Robertson, is it Robertson, Robertson, that type of thing. So you can do R-O-B-S question mark N, Robertson. Oh, actually, if I can spell it right, Robertson, there's lots of different options. So you can put in there any combination of asterisk and question mark, and it would still bring it up. Now, I don't have any of those in there. It's not a good example, very good example, but that is just the way that you can go in there, do the search, use the question marks as wildcard characters to be able to find them, especially if you're unsure of what that person's name is. The other thing that we've done is we limit the text that you're typing in and delineate it by spaces. So if I type in an R and an S, it would find anything that has an R or an S that starts with those characters. Let me do BS. Well, I don't have anybody here. Let's see. Let's go. Let me do anything here. And whenever you're doing those searches, by default, whenever you first come in here, the little globe option here, it does search everything. It searches the notes field, it searches phone numbers, it searches a little bit of everything. So if you're wanting to find anything that has, you know, certain words in there, and it's not necessarily a person's name, you can use the global search. That's still the same. But what has changed is just the fact that anytime that you want to search for a word, you need to type it in as if it begins with. Now, if I wanted, just for instance here, let me use this as an example. I can type in Roper, R-O-P-E-R, and it would come up with both Peggy and Ron, okay, because it's in there. But if I take off the R, because we're looking for begins with, if I just do Oper, O-P-E-R, it won't find Oper in there. What I have to do now, because I'm searching begins with, if I want to search contains, put an asterisk in front of it. So if, as long as something is in front of it, it doesn't even have to have anything, but it could just be Oper. But if it has anything in it at all, then it will find it using the asterisk. It does take a little bit longer whenever you're doing a global search with an asterisk compared to any of our other searches. So if you really want to do this by name, I would recommend that you do it with the little person as opposed to a global search. Global searches and asterisks, there's a lot of data to search, so it's going to take longer to do that than if you were just to put in the first, the begins with. That's really what the question mark, the asterisk, those are wildcard characters, and that's a powerful piece, and a lot of agents have been asking for the ability to do the partial searches. We also do just PR. In this case, any word in the database that starts with a P or an R. In this case, Peggy and Roper both have those letters in there. So you can do multiple word searches just by having a space in there. Hope that helps. Anything else? Just for your information, guys, over in the handouts area on the toolbar, I did place 2 handouts. One of them is the 9 ways to get help with Realvolve. It's a PDF file. You can click on that. It has a link off of a website that will show the 9 different ways, and I think the title on it was originally 8. We added a 9th one, so it may show it a little bit funny, but there are 9 different ways, and I'm just going to click and open that up just to show you what that looks like. So here, a lot of people want to know how can you get help, and there are all kinds of chat, support tickets. We do have a help link in the system. If you just click on the little down arrow here and choose help, it'll take you to our help page. We've got the how do I over here on the right hand side. There's a little piece here where it'll take you step by step through different things to get help on lots of different things. And then also the support emails, and then we've got our basic training, our YouTube channel, Facebook community. I love our Facebook community. Even whenever we're not necessarily looking at it all the time, a lot of our community members will answer questions. So definitely, if you've got something that you're unsure of, you can ask it in the community, and if we don't answer it promptly, typically somebody else will. And then we do have our virtual assistant link, so if you need virtual assistance, you can certainly do that as well. All right. Any other questions? Mighty quiet today. Last week, whenever we were doing, we had this scheduled for last week, and GoToWebinar just did not cooperate with me, so I think we had fewer people on today just because it really wasn't as well publicized. All right. I'm going to, it's 25 minutes after, give you just a couple more seconds here if you've got any other questions. Start asking away. Okay. I'm going to call this a wrap. If you have additional questions, use those different help pieces, either live chat support down at the bottom, submit a support ticket, or our help. We've got lots of ways to communicate with us, and love to hear from you guys. So don't hesitate to do so. Ron asked, did you ever consider doing a camp? Doing like a boot camp? Absolutely. I'm a scoutmaster for a Boy Scout camp, so we do lots of camps. But we have talked about doing a boot camp type of thing for beginners, both on site. We've got some training facilities in our Denver office, and we've been discussing what that looks like and how that might happen. Flights into Denver are pretty inexpensive, so you could go right there, spend the whole weekend with us, and we're still arranging some and doing some planning on how that looks. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. We will make that available fairly soon. Hope that helps you, Ron. Okay. Cole, did you have anything else?
I'm good, Mark.
Okay. Well, this was a short one. Sorry, guys. If you guys have additional questions, let us know, and we'll be here to help you. Have a great day. Thanks.